Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by the law office of Douglas Viviani. Douglas Viviani has been providing quality legal service for over 26 years. We're a general practice firm and can handle any legal matter you may have for a reasonable fee. If you're involved in a car accident, starting a business, planning your estate, or need a criminal attorney, please call 631-681-1910 or email us at vivianilaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Get the justice you deserve. Contact the law office of Douglas Viviani at vivianilaw@aol.com.
Great beginning for Everything Old is New Again. We are here. My name is Douglas Viviani. I'm sitting with David Cohen, and we are at the finals of our September Silliness, which is now in October, but it started in September. What is the best TV sitcom of all time? We are down to The Honeymooners, Seinfeld, and The Big Bang Theory.
Right, the final three. One will survive.
Now, I've gotten some emails. I've gotten some heated calls. I've had difficulties at at barbecues and parties and things where people have told me that there are some of their favorites that have left out that, if not the winner, should be in the final 5, 3, 2, something like that. Yeah. Such as what we just heard, the theme of I Love Lucy. Yeah. Problem is, we got to realize that there are some rules that we went by, and in the 50s for I Love Lucy, for example, it lost to The Honeymooners. It may be the second or third best sitcom of all time and hasn't been considered by us, or might be lost in the shuffle, if you will, at this point because of the rules. It didn't
get out of the 50s decade. That's why.
Exactly. And that happened. You know, it's not something we can control. Doesn't mean that
we had no control over it.
We had no control. There's another show even from the 70s that had that happen.
Tell you something, Mr. Stivic. You are a meathead. Dead from the neck up.
A lot about that show as well. People love that show and bring that up as possibly the best of all time.
Right, and why isn't it in the finals?
Right, that one lost to The Odd Couple. Now, that might be debatable. There's a lot of debate on that as well. That's why we're here, to start the arguments that you love to have. We don't profess to be the experts. We're just two schmoes.
We're not. We're two schmoes. We'll keep saying this forever. We don't know anything, but
we know a few things, but not about this.
No, I don't even know if we know a few things, but we know how to talk and we know how to read.
And we've got Mary Tyler Moore and Modern Family. I'm going to just throw those in there for 4 shows that people have told me, what do you mean, why aren't they up in the top 5?
Oh, especially Mary Tyler Moore was a big one. We got a lot of feedback on that one.
Yes, but now we're on to the finals. Honeymooners.
Here's a dance you should know.
I got it now, Norton.
Hello, boy.
I don't know anybody does the mambo. I don't do it. Norton doesn't do it. My grandmother never did it.
Who is the composer of Swanee River?
Ed Norton.
You are a blabbermouth. All right, get out. Get out. There isn't room in this place for you and me.
There isn't room in this place for you and anybody.
Out of the way, girls. Some men are gonna do some drinking. Clear the field. Everything's going real fast.
The table ain't level.
Still the same all around. It's good to see you.
Come on out of there, Harvey.
I never knew Davy Crockett was so fat.
I am the chef of the future. Oh, I can curry apple.
Okay, now that's The Honeymooners, a clip that sounded eerily familiar. Might be subject of a trivia question on the Everything Old is New Again topic. Where did we hear that clip from before?
The last show.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. I have to
get a little more creative, Doug.
Yeah, I thought a little bit of a mix-up. Long story short, that's fine. That shows so much, again, of the variety and the fun of that show that we could, talk about The Honeymooners to the end of this.
You can talk about it.
Well, what would be some of your favorite episodes? What comes to mind
of The Honeymooners?
Yes.
So are we past the shows that people are yelling and screaming that are not part of this? Mary Tyler Moore and All in the Family. We're moving on.
I mean, we could still talk about that. I don't know what else to say about it, though. I apologize if you don't like what
this was a scientific poll that we did. We really applied. We tried to be as objective as possible. Again, last show we talked about, there's emotion, there's subjectivity that comes into it. But, again, these are our opinions, and you guys out there can have completely different opinions.
And, we may have a rebuttal show down the line.
That's a great idea.
And if you want to do that, the only way we're going to have that show is if you write into us at oldnewagain@AOL.com, throw some opinions our way, and if we get a little bit of a groundswell, we like some of what you're saying, we can invite you on the show by that time when we do that show.
That's right.
To come on and give us your opinion by phone or in person. But you got to communicate with us.
If you're angry enough to care so much about what we're talking about, you basically like us, like me and you, Doug.
Right.
We like you. We'll have you on. Sure.
Well, listen, we're on at 12 o'clock at night, so at this point, it's a Saturday night. I'm assuming some people have had a nice glass of wine or whatever, winding down. You want to get on your email and shoot us an email. Feel free. We're happy to respond to each and every one that we get.
That's right.
But back to the Honeymooners.
Yes.
Those characters, to me, were so well cast and such a great chemistry and such great writing that anything you did or they did was, created an iconic environment of playing golf, dancing, roller skating, getting older, the Christmas show. I mean, just show after show.
Doug, talk a little bit about, because some of our listeners, again, may not have heard of the Honeymooners. They haven't seen episodes. They don't know what the heck we're talking about.
Right.
Jackie Gleason, who was the mastermind behind this show, I think there were some interesting stories that went into how the show aired. It was a live taping, and
yes.
Jackie Gleason would not, I think, show up to a lot of rehearsals. Can you?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Long story short, on the creation of the show was in a show called The Cavalcade of Stars, with Jackie Gleason was a guest host a number of times. It was basically the Saturday Night Live of the time. And he created this along with Jack Hurl, the gentleman's name, also created this environment, this show, this skit.
It was a sketch. It was a short sketch.
Yeah, short sketch that they then turned into, in 1955, a show unto itself. Now, Jackie Gleason thereafter moved his show, or had a show, a variety show, that he went down to Miami, and they had the June Taylor Dancers, they had variety acts, they had skits, almost his own, if you will, Saturday Night Live at the time, every Sunday night, I believe it was, and he brought this show with him, and they continued to do it as a skit. The only time it was on for 22 minutes, which is what it would be
was
for
an actual sitcom,
a half hour,
right.
was an actual sitcom, was 1955. And he would never rehearse. He wanted the spontaneity of it. He had a photographic memory. He read the script once. That was it. All the other cast members had to and were on stage all week long rehearsing.
So did they have somebody stand in for Jackie Gleason?
They sure did,
as well?
Absolutely, which we never know who that person is, to tell you the truth. But they had someone standing reading the lines. And that's where the spontaneity of it was so beautiful. You could see even some of the mistakes he made. What a genius with the faces that he made, with his body language, with the way he danced.
They did have to improvise quite a bit because something would go wrong, but somehow they always recovered. And it is relevant today because it's very difficult to do a live TV show.
Absolutely.
No
but also,
what
if you had to pick a Hall of Fame of, this sounds silly, but a Hall of Fame of comedians, you had Jackie Gleason and Ed Norton. It's, again, go back silly, but the Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig of their day or of their craft. These guys were phenomenal.
Art Carney, who also starred in the Broadway version of The Odd Couple, actually. He didn't just stop with the Honeymooners.
Absolutely. And I believe the story is he got ill. He was supposed to do the movie and he got ill. So, I mean, he was another, what a classic. He did a great job on that show, with all the hand gestures and just the characteristics. And that show became so iconic. Of course, it became a cartoon, if you will, in the Flintstones.
Right.
And that was a show that carried some longevity.
That's right. And sold a lot of vitamins as well.
It sure still does.
Very iconic.
So that really was really a huge show in its day. And now let's cut to a big show in our day, The Big Bang Theory, and see what we got there.
Thank you for letting me stay here.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetie.
Okay, I'm sleepy now. Get out.
Just a little interplay there between Sheldon and Penny on that show. I would not say that they are Hall of Fame comedians, but that doesn't mean that the show is not funny.
Oh, that's a I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think that Jim Parsons is. Wow, he is really funny, and what a character he created. One of a kind.
I agree with you 100%. However, I don't know if he's a Jackie Gleason or an Ed Norton, but maybe he will be in the future. His day is here. It's not come and gone. We can't check the scoreboard on that one.
True.
But what I'm trying to say is that show is more of an ensemble and quite an ensemble where all of these characters have funny lines. It's so well and smartly written. All of these people on this show have their day.
Right.
As opposed to, like the Honeymooners had a formula.
Well, we can also identify with one of the characters on Big Bang Theory. I think everybody can in some way.
So we'll come back in a few minutes and discuss the next part.
Who can turn the world on with her smile?
This portion of Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by ResumeDoctorInc.com. When you're seeking to change your career, apply for a promotion, or are trying to find a job, your resume is the first thing that's seen that represents you to a potential employer. Make sure your resume makes a clear, concise, and professional impression of who you are so you can get that job interview. Send your current resume to ResumeDoctorInc@AOL.com for a free online review. You'll receive a timely reply with a reasonable quote to properly prepare your resume. Let them make sure you have a resume that will get you noticed. Send your resume or questions to ResumeDoctorInc@AOL.com. That's ResumeDoctorInc@AOL.com.
Well, I just got back from swimming in the pool, and the water was cold.
You mean shrinkage?
Yes!
Well, what's the show about? About nothing. Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
So we can win at NBC, we tell them we got an idea for a show about nothing.
Exactly.
I think you may have something here.
If every instinct you have is wrong, then the opposite would have to be right.
I will do the opposite. Excuse me, my name is George. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents.
I'm Victoria. Hi.
Not a day goes by where there isn't a Seinfeld reference that goes through my mind. And how many other sitcoms how many other shows or movies can you say that about?
Again, the only thing I can think of is The Honeymooners. I keep going back to it, but those two shows are so ingrained and touched upon in such a comical way, so many issues against Seinfeld, even more, because it was on the air longer. So creative, so fun. I mean, there are things in every episode that people are still, they call it water cooler show, where I don't know if that's a saying now, but back in the 90s, they would say that was a water cooler show where people would watch it and on a Thursday night, and the next day they
couldn't wait to talk about it the next day
at work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was brilliant about the show, too, I think, is that they talked about subjects but never swore or actually said the word, the contest.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right, it shrank. You just knew it was brilliant because you knew what they were talking about, and they could just go off on it because the sponsors couldn't have a problem with it, right?
Right. And I think some of the genius of it even showed in the early stages. In an episode is one of my favorites, just sitting and waiting for a table at a Chinese food restaurant. And if you watch that today, it's exactly what, maybe not exactly, but it's things that you've gone through waiting for tables and the same thoughts.
Right, exactly.
So the commonality of comedy there, the commonality of these jokes done such a creative way with characters you did come to know and like.
And what I found fascinating about it was it's really a kind of New York City-based show, yet it reached across every nook and cranny of the country, which was remarkable.
And if you remember, it was a replacement, or maybe not. It was a mid-season replacement. It had maybe, I think, 6 episodes, and it struggled. People did not know if they were going to be renewed and continued or not because of exactly what you said. Right. They gave it 1 year, and that first year really pulled it together for them. Now let's look at that show against the Honeymooners. Excuse me. I think that show is right there with the Honeymooners, neck and neck, maybe a smidge more. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's look at the Big Bang Theory. Try to get that into the discussion.
Morning, Sheldon. Come dance with me.
No.
Why not?
Penny, While I subscribe to the many worlds theory, which posits the existence of an infinite number of Sheldons and an infinite number of universes, I assure you that none of them am I dancing.
Are you fun in any of them?
The math would suggest that in a few, I'm a clown made of candy.
Again, interplay between Penny and Sheldon. There's certainly interplay between the other characters as well.
Right.
I just wanted to bring something to the table that you could hear really quick and hear the brilliance of the writing of this show.
It is, and we were talking about it before. There aren't any catchphrases necessarily. There's a few, bazinga, but no, not anything that you're going to memorize or recite like you and I are doing for the Honeymooners or any of these other shows years and years down the road, unless maybe some of the younger listeners are out there are into quoting, and you and I don't know about it.
Well, that also goes to your subjective versus objective argument in some way that there might be people that are in their teens or 20s now, but especially in their teens that have grown up with this show, and it is so good and it's been on for so long that this might be more memorable to them, of course, than, let's say, The Odd Couple, Seinfeld, Honeymooners to them. And there might be things that they'll quote, or at the very least, in my view of the show, a positive feeling about people. And I'm talking about people that usually weren't accepted until this show came along. Not to get serious, but there are nerds.
Oh, don't get serious. No.
But there are nerds on the show, if you will. There may be somebody that has some Asperger's or something of that nature.
Science is cool now. It wasn't.
It's
before,
all cool,
right?
And that's what I love about that show. So let's take a look at compare that to a little bit of Seinfeld.
According to your story, Hernandez passes you and starts walking up the ramp. Mm-hmm. Then you say you were struck on the right temple. The spit then proceeds to ricochet off the temple, striking Newman between the third and the fourth rib. The spit then came off the rib, made a right turn, hitting Newman in the right wrist, causing him to drop his baseball cap. The spit then splashed off the wrist, pauses in midair, mind you, makes a left turn, and lands on Newman's left thigh. That is one magic loogie.
Of course, that's the little parody of the movie JFK that was out at the time that this scene was filmed.
Which, again, in 20 years from now, I don't know if people are going to get that necessarily.
That's a good point. But that went on for 4 minutes. I cut it down.
Right.
Real funny, real fact intensive, though. Really, if you think about it, you're exactly right. Because maybe people don't remember that scene in JFK because it's almost not word for word.
Time since that one came out.
But that shows the creativity of taking a serious subject like that and bringing it to a ball game, to Keith Hernandez, to Spit, to Newman. I mean, there's no topic they didn't approach beautifully.
Exactly. And what was really smart about that was everybody was in on the joke, right? People had known, if you hadn't seen the JFK movie necessarily, you knew the conspiracy theory of JFK.
You still know the term magic bullet. And you still know the way they were lined up, that it was an examination of Kennedy and the shooting. So, I mean, another show also that you could watch, I think just hit me, through the generations. You could and did, I think, watch with maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, your kids. Everyone can kind of relate to what's going on that show.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's true of the Big Bang Theory as well.
All right, well, let's see. Let's take a look and see a little more of that.
Sheldon, look, I am scared and in a lot of pain. Could you please take a break from being you for just a minute and try being, I don't know, comforting?
I'm sorry. They're there. Everything's going to be fine. Sheldon's here.
Now, really not funny as you just sit here unless you know the show and know that character now. But that character, more than you could clearly say it's a breakout character, but it's more than that. It's a very unique character that I don't think you've seen on TV before.
No, definitely not. I mean, there's some glimpses of other characters. I see a little Felix in him, but no, he he created a unique character.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily want to go down the road too seriously about what type of character and what he's got going on, because it's all speculation, but it does whatever he's got going on, which is different from other people. It's still, although he gets mocked, every character gets mocked, he has a position of respect, certainly, in the show, and I don't know.
Because he's brilliant. He has a brilliant mind, and that's what's being respected.
Yes, and these nerds having attractions and having girls being attracted to them that are pretty and have things going for them as well. Professional women themselves. It's just different. It's just totally. I don't think. Can you compare that show to any other show on TV?
No.
Really? Oh,
no.
That's been?
Right.
So that really is so analogous to Seinfeld, which is a show about nothing, if you will. I really think that's a fun way to look at the Big Bang and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to laugh at this show. I'm going to, again, open my eyes to seeing it and viewing this with an eye towards seeing something that's historic, really. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely.
So
How are we going to get you off the Honeymooners, though? How do you not come up with the Honeymooners as the winner?
Well, I would say this: there's a Honeymooners that developed into this. We spoke about previously down into the show in Miami, the Jackie Gleason show, and became morphed into something else. And Jane Keane took the place as an actress of Audrey Meadows, and the love didn't translate. There was a lot of arguments, but the love factor wasn't there. So and also the time factor. There's only 39 episodes.
So you're taking off some points for that.
Yeah, I have to. I can't just isolate 39 episodes unto itself. Right. I think we should roll the drums and see where we are. Which is the best sitcom of all time?
Wow, we've come a long way. The winner
is Seinfeld.
What a shock.
I don't know if we're going to get arguments on that or not. It was very, very close with the Honeymooners and Big Bang.
Yes.
A lot of fun. But maybe with Seinfeld, we carry it forward because, as you're saying, it affects us still to this day.
It does. It's just so ingrained in pop culture and the vernacular 20-plus years since it aired.
Absolutely. Even the theme music is something that we all know instantly where it's from. We will see you next week. We enjoyed it. Hopefully you did. Everything old is new again. Come on back.